for Empoleon. But you're not trying to play out those even matchups here. You're trying to dance around with energy. And there is one trainer who has been dancing a lot last weekend because he was in Brazil. COLIN6IX is playing versus Jimmy NAMIKAZE, one trainer we are calling the final boss in the Play Pokemon Championship Series. And there's one trainer who still wants to make a name for himself.
Colin, with that Spy Ups on his team, I heard that last night he still did not have the Stardust, which right now, 4-time Stardust in the Go Battle League. Go pick up some Stardust for yourself, put on a Star Piece, and he was able to grind those out last night and put the Spy Ups on his team, got the Stardust to power it up, and I love the commitment, right? We're just committing that this pick is going to be really great for the weekend, and we're just going to run with it. Jimmy NAMIKAZE, on the other hand, though, has his own signature pick. It's that Jump Bluff with Aerial Ace and Energy Ball.
That served him quite well in the matchup versus Marco Shiny before. I really loved how he played that. He really impressed me with the Fortress skills there as well. Completely bug biting down a Shadow Talonflame in the endgame there. Being aware of the fact that it does not only 1 damage despite it being double resisted, but 2 damage per bug bite onto a Shadow Talonflame, even debuffing the defenses before that, and knowing, hey, Incinerate is so slow when it comes to dealing damage, I can just knock it out. So supreme plays by Jimmy NAMIKAZE so far, 1 match away from his first day 2.
I think if you're calling here, you have to be really scared of that Fortress. Your only answer, really, is the Altaria, and Altaria still takes super effective from the Rock Tomb, and there's going to be Unova Stunfisk, Corsola, Azumarill, all standing in its way. How is Jimmy NAMIKAZE going to navigate this, though? How is he going to get that Fortress on something like the Furret and take this game number 1?
Oh, we're going to see the leads now. This is a Stunfisk, phenomenal for Jimmy NAMIKAZE, giving it a quick nod here. Brings in the Spy Ups immediately. What a good save switch. And now, how is the knowledge of Jimmy NAMIKAZE here? Swaps in the Fortress relatively late. So, COLIN6IX is going to comfortably debuff first.
This is a great bait out, right? Because we have our Furret in the back, which is now kind of free against that Azumarill. And Unova Stunfisk, that doesn't do a whole lot of damage. But this Rock Tomb from the Fortress is going to do a lot of damage into the Spy Ups. Does Colin try to preserve this? No, he knows this doesn't knock out, but may be just conceding this switch advantage here, knowing his Furret is so safe in the back.
Oh, but this might be a huge farm down coming soon. Let's see if Colin can reach the lunge, or if Jimmy NAMIKAZE is going to get a phenomenal farm down here. Puts it slightly in the red, deals a little bit less damage with every single bug bite, but fronts it down completely. This is so much energy, but where does it go?
It goes right into the Corviknight.
Yeah,
I think that's a fantastic situation because now you guarantee your Unova Stunfisk on the Corviknight. However, it's up to Colin to try to sweep this endgame with the Furret. With 2 shields, I don't think it's out of the question.
Yep. Oh, wow. There is a lot of energy on that Corviknight as well now. I think you're going to swap out very soon when the Stunfisk hits you. The debuff is cleared immediately, and now Jimmy NAMIKAZE is playing this interestingly well. I like this. There's a Mud Bomb that is going to be thrown now. Maybe then you can swap into this Azumarill there.
I wonder if we throw this other one to get the shield, because if you're Colin, how can you no-shield this?
That's true, you need HP on your Furret. You still don't know which Pokemon is in the back. Jimmy NAMIKAZE also playing with information. And now there's a lot of fast attack pressure on the side of Azumarill. Brings it in, tries to catch a charge attack. Doesn't even matter, Colin is switch lock anyways. Trailblaze is being thrown.
This is going to be so difficult because we didn't land a Trailblaze on the Unova Stunfisk. It's going to be really challenging to get rid of it. With that Corviknight, this Azumarill, if it bubbles all the way down, it can also bring shields down from the Corviknight. He tries to pivot in the Corviknight. He does get it. Is he going to be able to snipe with this Air Cutter? Not really a snipe because it doesn't knock out, but he's going to be able to land it and desync these clocks.
Dancing around again with some energy. They're having this super effective charge attack. It gets everything banked on this Furret. Now Jimmy NAMIKAZE is going to chip for a little bit of damage. You wouldn't think it's only a little bit because it's an Ice Beam, but it deals about 30% at max. Now, you can throw more Air Cutters. You can throw all the Air Cutters you want, but they won't deal enough damage here. Another Ice Beam is being thrown. This is going to be incredibly close.
I think if you're Jimmy NAMIKAZE here, you want to stay in and maybe take an Air Cutter. Takes this payback, though. You have to shield this because at this point, if we don't shield this payback, we're going. Oh, we may have to start shielding Air Cutters. Is this a turning point for the game? Colin comes in with the Swift. Is going to throw these back to back. There is no choice but to shield this attack.
Yeah, you have to start shielding at some point. Jimmy puts it up there. Colin knows he has another Swift stored, but now this is a big farm down, and also at this range, let me tell you, you don't need to shield Air Cutters just yet.
with these Thunder Shocks, is it able to get into a range where 2 discharges will knock out this Corviknight before the payback is reached? I think so. Air Cutter, it just won't be enough. In fact, it won't even be reached. Air Cutter just not available for COLIN6. This discharge gonna threaten to knock out this Corviknight. Can Jimmy NAMIKAZE reach it? It's gonna be charge attack priority, I think, but Colin recognizes Air Cutter is just not gonna cut it here in game number 1.
Jimmy NAMIKAZE, the Fortress Fighter, brings it again. The shiniest team we've ever seen. He brings in the discharge, knocks out Corviknight, and goes 1-0 up ahead versus COLIN6, who is a trainer that sometimes loses the first game, but he has no problems coming back.
He may have lost the first game, but he's gained a ton of advantages by the knowledge that he'll be going into game 2 with. This is where trainers like COLIN6 can really put on absolutely phenomenal plays because they learn so much from game 1 that the result is kind of not as meaningful as you think it might be. Colin now understands Jimmy NAMIKAZE is not going to bring that jump left and is more relying on that Fortress. Does this force a pivot to the Altaria? I think so.
Altaria is the only real answer for this. However, most of those matchups that you're playing versus the Fortress, they're kind of neutral. And Fortress, most of the time, if you're not relying on Pokemon like Cradley in the back, it's a Pokemon that you can handle. If it lives a matchup, if it soft wins a matchup, survives deep in the red, sometimes it only reaches a Sand Tomb, and that's not really the most problematic charge attack to deal with if you can swap out immediately again.
I think you have to bring the Altaria, otherwise Fortress is going to be too strong. It's a shiny one, so maybe it has a little bit more attack and it can get the Bug Bite Break point against the Corviknight, doing 2 damage each instead of 1.
That's huge.
Critical because Corviknight does not have a lot of HP as a Pokemon. Game number 2. This is a win and in for Jimmy NAMIKAZE for day number 2 against the final boss of PvP. It's Jump Bluff into the Altaria.
Oh, and that is an interesting lead here. You have the super effective Flamethrower, but Fairy Wind is also super effective. However, this is not the strongest fast attack when it comes to damage.
I think Jump Off wins this matchup. Oh, tries for an aggressive catch. Honestly, I like this. We're baiting out the Furret and keeping the Azumarill safe in the back, which is quite safe into this back lane from Colin.
Yeah, Azumarill kind of safe into Stunfisk. However, Stunfisk, of course, with discharges deals a lot of damage. So fast pace, and Furret can gain a lot of advantage playing the Stunfisk matchup.
Colin may have to commit shield here, and if he thinks there's a Fortress in the back, maybe he is just content with letting this Furret go down, understanding he's got 2 pretty reasonable matches in the back, a ton of energy on the Altaria, and can allow these 3 Mud Bombs to go through on this Furret.
Yep. And I mean, with the little bit of energy advantage that this Stunfisk got from swapping in there, you're going to outpace here to another Mud Bomb. No, the Swift is reached before. I was lying.
I wonder if you just hang on to the Stunfisk, shield up, and then snipe here with... Oh, okay, we're going to try to farm this Furret down. Do we try to farm it down with the Jump Bluff? I honestly don't think that's too crazy. We're going to throw 1, and maybe we undercharge to try to get 1 more on the back end. He's going for it. I think this is going to be perfect. Aerial Ace onto the Furret. Going to give him 2 more Fairy Winds. Whoa, that is incredible from Jimmy NAMIKAZE.
Precise farm down. Immediately pivots into the Azumarill. Gets a full bubble on the catch. Colin, with his back against the wall, needs to find a way to win this game. But his switch timer is also up. Can bring in the Stunfisk. And every single bit of chip damage on this Azumarill is relevant here. Also very happy to not have the Stunfisk lined up against the Jump Bluff.
I wonder if this is almost good for Colin, because now this Azumarill is in 2 discharge range, where before he would have needed to commit 3, and this matchup could have been a little bit more awkward. At the end of the day, though, that Jump Bluff still looking so strong in the back, so much energy thanks to that precise undercharge from Jimmy NAMIKAZE. He is playing out of his mind here to try to take this away from COLIN6. Discharge number 2 about to come down. He got it. He has to throw it now, but I think you shield this and just try. This is so awkward, right? Because now he's throwing this Ice Beam. And if Colin shields, you snipe with the Jump Bluff. Or, you snipe with the Jump Bluff immediately. He saves the Azumarill with the Ice Beam. I love this call. Does Colin try? Yes, he has to do this, right? Because otherwise, our Altaria is going to have huge problems against that Azumarill later on in the game. Jump Bluff now is into Air Lace range.
This is so well played by both trainers. The biggest problem for Jimmy NAMIKAZE now is that he doesn't have acrobatics on the jump off, so this makes this matchup significantly worse. Look at the bulk on Altaria, taking this like a champ, almost at 2 sky attacks, is going to threaten a knockout with the first one. We're going to outpace, or are we going to get chipped a little bit more? Nevertheless, there is a Stunfisk in the back. All of a sudden, COLIN6 looked like he's going to turn it around once more.
Sky attack lands onto this jump bluff. I think it'll be just enough to knock it out. No, jump bluff barely hangs on, is able to get into that zoom roll, throw this ice beam off. Is this getting a little bit weird?
Oh, this is actually a lot of damage here. Shields it up. I think Colin might want to swap out this Altaria, try to get into the Stunfisk here, throws the discharge immediately again, just does not want to take unnecessary damage, has 2 Pokemon, both are in the red, but he does not care. There's a jump bluff with basically 1 HP and it's knocked out.
Honestly, a very, very difficult game for Jimmy NAMIKAZE here. Just leading the jump bluff into the Altaria was not super optimal. Ferd in the back, we were able to lure it out, but at the end of the day, I think not having Fortress that game made it a little bit more difficult because the Ferd just being so free, and we don't have a reliable answer outside of that Fortress.
But maybe this was all part of his grand plan. Now Colin, he really wants to bring this Altaria again. He wants to play versus a Fortress. Now by Jimmy not bringing the Fortress, he might bait Colin out of bringing this Altaria again. So if there's no Altaria, Fortress might come back looking stronger. But Jimmy has proven that he can also play without the Fortress, even though I do agree with you, looks really strong. But Jimmy knows best. He has really impressed with his performance so far. Precise energy management, precise damage management. Worthy opponent for the final boss.
I think that undercharge with the jump bluff against the Fur is probably the best one we're going to see all weekend. That was so incredibly hard to pull off, and he did it against one of the best trainers in the entire world. That is not so easy under all that pressure of being under the stage. Jimmy NAMIKAZE, though, he looks confident, he looks composed, and he's ready to get his Azumarill on Colin's Altaria.
He's going to crush it in this tournament. Nevertheless, let's see if he can crush COLIN6 to the final boss. They're locking in, they're discussing. All right, let's go. Trainers are ready to go. COLIN6 versus Jimmy NAMIKAZE, game 3. Who's going to make it to day 2? The lead is going to be a Ferret. Fantastic into Stunfisk. This is advantage on the side of Colin.
So if the Stunfisk can actually take away switch advantage here, he would actually have perfect alignment in the back. I think, Colin, do you recognize this? Do you understand that because this Unova Stunfisk is staying in, there's going to be an Azumarill in the back?
I mean, we have seen Azumarill every single game from Jimmy NAMIKAZE so far. A Pokemon that has come back this tournament after it has been a little bit absent in the meta. Ferd is going to connect the first Trailblaze. Things are looking good for Colin so far. However, Jimmy, of course, has a lot of energy. Tries to catch another charge attack here on the jump bluff. Colin dealing damage, farming up energy, knowing I'm only going to take Aerial Ace from jump bluff, and I do not care.
This would have been such a great bait out if there was a Fortress in the back, but alas, we can see from here that it's an Azumarill now lined up against that Unova Stunfisk. Not really the end of the world for your Jimmy, honestly, because Azumarill is still so neutral into this team as a whole.
If you can get shields somewhere, Azumarill actually is doing very fine versus Stunfisk with a little bit of advantage, because after all, yes, you're taking so much damage from Thunder Shocks and Discharge, but Bubble and Ice Beam are also super effective. Now we're going to see the first shield being committed by Jimmy NAMIKAZE. He really wants to flip the switch here, wants to only take resisted damage from Sucker Punches in the end game, but the Ferd has so much energy.
How do we really get rid of this Altaria, though, if this Fairy Wind's down the Altaria? Oh my goodness, this is going to be a snipe! Colin reaches for the Ferd, but isn't able to do so. Dragon Breath goes through, and now you have to shield this up. Jimmy NAMIKAZE, finally, it feels like he has a leg in this game, has to drop this Trailblaze immediately.
The counting is perfect from Colin, knowing I need to throw immediately. Knocks out the Ferd here with the Trailblaze. Boosted attack now. Switch locked on the side of Jimmy NAMIKAZE. Can he bubble down somewhere, or is this going to be Ferret dominant? The most played Pokemon in this tournament is showing why. Dealing neutral damage. Boosted attack. It's only a Swift, but it is from a Ferret.
Honestly, that wasn't a whole lot of damage. If this energy build lands into the Spirit, goes for the Aerial Ace. This is not going to be enough to knock out. Does Colin know that and just no-shield this, right? Oh, he knows he has to get rid of this. He knows.
He might be able to farm down.
He shouldn't have done.
No, the last Pokemon there wants to take as little damage as possible in case there is a Fortress. Now your shields down versus Azumarill with the Pokemon that he has in the back. Now he's trying to go to farm up another Trailblaze. It's going to take so much damage, and then this is a big energy advantage on the side of Jimmy
This is a crazy
NAMIKAZE.
bait. This is a crazy bait. But if he can get the 2 Swifts, maybe it can be a turning point for Colin here. 2 Ice Beams loaded on the side of this Azumarill will be enough to knock out this Unovan Sun's Fist. 3 bubbles for good timing. Mo, he goes to a little bit more and gives a free Thundershock through.
I don't even think so. I think because it was swapped after that with a turn, I think he might have thrown on perfect timing here, but we'll see that later. Ice Beam is making sure the next one is going to knock out. He has to throw immediately after the next one, or else Colin is going to reach another discharge. Ice Beam might knock out. We aren't even sure about that. It is so incredibly close here already. Stuttgart goes for another bubble. Colin reaches the discharge. Can Jimmy NAMIKAZE manage to get enough energy to beat that Ferret? Does he even need to? Can Ferret reach those 2 Swifts? Takes more and more damage. This is getting so close here.
Colin recognizes that he's going to be able to get to the Swift with that Ferret. Even the Altarian may be uncomfortable to bubble down. However, let's see. Can this Ferret get the job done against Azumarill? Oh, has the Sky Attack loaded, so it's not going to be a problem for COLIN6. I think as soon as that discharge landed, it was pretty much wraps here. Because Jimmy NAMIKAZE basically had the perfect setup. If he could keep all that health on his Azumarill, the Sky Attack can't knock it out.
Yep, and then it really comes down to if the Ferret can get to another Swift, but Colin wins this convincingly. Also, shockingly, has another Sky Attack on the Altaria, something that we couldn't even keep track of.
Colin surprising his opponents, surprising the casters, but I think the one thing he won't be doing is surprising the tournament by making day number 2.
I was going to say this is the least surprising thing about this match. COLIN6 advancing again, this time on the winner's side. He has had so many day 2 runs, and recently